Hey, welcome back to another Black City Coffee vlog. Happy New Year. Good to be back. In this video, we're gonna talk about what is specialty coffee. Byron asked this question. Based off the last video talking about like taste being very subjective and stuff, and then which I think led to this question, which he was asking, well then what is specialty coffee? Well, specialty coffee actually does have a pretty easy, concrete definition, which is good because not a lot of things in specialty coffee can be, especially in roasting, can be a little askew, not people not using the same terminology and stuff. So I'm just going to read it to you, okay? Because the term specialty coffee or specialty coffee, I have never heard it as specialty coffee before, is used to refer to coffee that is graded 80 points or above. We've talked about this before, on a 100-point scale by a certified coffee taster by the SCAA or a licensed Q grader, CQI. So that would not be me, guys, saying like, hey, I got this new green in, I graded it, and then I call it specialty. I could do that for fun and be like, oh, let's take this green and put it on a black, grading sheet and take out all the defects and then grade that raw coffee. And then let me try and taste this roasted coffee after it's roasted and then fill out an SCA score sheet for fun and see how it grades there and give it a grade and stuff or give it a score. But because I have not been certified, right, certified coffee taster by the SCAA or a licensed Q grader, since I do not have those certifications, my score would be moot, right? Now, how do I, as a home roaster, get away with saying I sell specialty coffee? Well, I buy already graded by a licensed Q grader via Hasea Coffee Source. Jared over there is their licensed Q grader, and he has scored the coffee. Now, when I roast this already graded raw coffee that is 80 points and above, I can say I sell specialty coffee, okay? So we'll continue on here. So specialty coffees are coffees at their peak and are different to other coffee because specialty coffee has been grown at the perfect altitude. We're going to dissect this sentence in a second. At the correct time of year, in the best soil, and then picked at just the right time. All this translates into some of the most exciting and tasty coffee in the world. Now, let's not, rag on this too much. What is specialty coffee at thespecialtycoffeecompany.com? I just picked this. It was very quick in terms of like picking a pretty good summation of the definition of what specialty coffee is. Now, if we break this sentence down, specialty coffees are coffees that are picked, specialty coffees are coffees at their peak and are different to other coffee because specialty coffee has been grown at the perfect altitude. This is a little generous in terms of the definition, at the correct time of year in the best soil. We assume that this is being done, Now, at the perfect altitude, we can still get a Brazil coffee grown at 1,000 meters, let's just say, right? That's really what we would call low elevation, right? Or low altitude in terms of like, say, versus Ethiopian coffee grown at 2,000 meters above sea level or something, okay? So which one is perfect? It's perfect for the region. So while whoever's wrote this is just trying to quickly give you, I think, a really succinct definition, okay? But it's perfect for that region. And when we say perfect for that region, still that's not really truly correct, not technically correct, because we can have microclimates, meaning like, for example, we can grow coffee on a mountain and maybe the left side of the mountain versus the right side of the mountain is getting a different amount of precipitation at a certain time of year, right? Or I don't know, there's maybe the middle part of the mountain to the peak part of the mountain, but we're still growing the same varietal of coffee, right? So those are really, really like minute, but I'd say could be significant differences between the perfect altitude. And then, as we continue on with the sentence, at the correct time of year. So that's a little vague too. In the best soil, not always. This is not always true, but what I'm saying is these things may not always be true, but definitely I think farmers who are producing specialty coffee are definitely attempting this, right? Like, how can we get the most out of this harvest and still have enough nutrients in the soil for next harvest, because we need to keep supporting our family, right? And then this is pretty true right here without any kind of doubt. And then picked at just the right time. So all specialty coffee, typically, if you got good pickers, they're supposed to be picking it when they're ripe, you know. I don't think that always can be the case, as you see like in a lot of like coffee cherry picking, you'll see different grades of red and maybe even grades of yellow or green. Now, that could be different grades or levels of ripeness, right? So all this translates into some of the most exciting and tasty coffee in the world. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely just in general, if we're just trying to kind of tell somebody who doesn't know what specialty coffee is, the thing that I think that we could comfortably say is like there's a lot more care, and I think meticulous care. There's a lot more meticulous care potentially with specialty coffee so that it can score 80 points and above on a 100-point scale. Okay. So yeah, you could see here the score, 90 to 100. That's outstanding. Now, not a lot of coffees get a 90 points score. You can kind of think of it as wine. Barely, I don't think any coffee's ever gotten a 100 score. They've gotten close, maybe like 98 or something like that. We see a lot of coffees here in this range, 85 to 89.99. That's excellent. Okay. And then we have 80 to 84.99, and that's very good. Anything less than that is below specialty quality, but you very well find these types of coffees in diners where, if it just doesn't, it's not that there'll be like a score 75 coffee or something like that. It's just if it doesn't add up to 80 points and above, and 80 is pretty low, I think you could still kind of make, you'll still probably see something like 82, 83 like that. 80 points and below, there's no score will be given basically, and they'll just say it's not specialty. Yeah, it's not specialty coffee, but you'll see it. Maybe it's going to, I don't know, a diner, or they'll just be categorized differently at the farm, basically at the farm, and then sold to some other commoditized coffee. Okay. And those types of coffees are then priced accordingly. And I think the highest price I think that we talked about on here was like $3 a pound, which is pretty crazy. So, history. Specialty coffee has existed for a long time in one form or another. We tend to think of specialty coffee as being a new trend. Yet, even as far back as the early 1900s, discerning customers like the Hôtel de Crayons in Paris specified that their coffee was to be bought from select microlots on specific farms in certain regions of Guatemala. The term specialty coffee was first used in the 1970s in the Tea and Coffee Trade Journal, just a few years after the opening of the first Starbucks store. Wow, this is cool. Thanks to stores like Starbucks and Pete's, coffee went from a modern convenience to a drinking experience. Since then, improvements in agricultural roasting and brewing technology and the increased demand for high-quality coffee have put specialty coffee in the hands of coffee lovers all across the globe. Yeah, I think it's really important to nod our hats, tip our hats, pay respect to the likes of Starbucks, and Pete's, and for the cultural shift in the mind of America that they made for roasters like me to even be able to sell comfortably without too much trouble or trust online, you know. So without the pioneers and without the roads that have come before and that were paved before, we can't really do what we do as home roasters and sell even coffee in the, you know, they say like the intelligentsias, the Portolas, they're not there without Starbucks and Pete's. Okay, coffee grading. Green coffee is graded via visual inspection and cupping. Visual inspection involves taking a 350 sample of green coffee beans and counting defective beans, right? We just talked about that. Defects can be primary, like black or sour. Those are like the really bad ones, right? Or secondary, broken beans, or insect damage, I think. For a coffee to qualify as specialty, it must have 0 primary defects and less than 5 secondary defects. Cupping involves roasting the coffee and brewing simply with hot water and relies on the skill of the taster to assign scores to each of the coffee's attributes such as acidity, body, flavor, and aroma. Yeah. This is a really succinct and easy way to learn about specialty coffee. Most of you all already know that, but I think maybe what Byron was trying to nudge me to maybe talk about was the subjectivity of specialty coffee. Now, here's a thought exercise, okay? I get a specialty grade coffee from Hasea, okay? Say it's 85 as a green, as a raw coffee, okay? I buy it as a home roaster. I roast it. Maybe I roast it terribly. I know I've done this before, okay? Now, if I've roasted that specialty green terribly and I give it to somebody and they score it and maybe it's only 80 points for them, or it's only like 79 points for them, is that now still specialty coffee? I would say no, because like obviously like the final product is no longer perhaps I burnt the coffee, okay? Perhaps maybe I underdeveloped it, right? Now can we say it's specialty coffee? Not only I believe, without even looking anything up or asking anybody else, I would say no, it's not specialty coffee. And then I would I would also say this is bad coffee. If you burnt the coffee, right? This is bad. Or if you underdeveloped it, that one could be kind of argued a little bit. Maybe it's just underdeveloped. If it's underdeveloped, I would say yes, it's still specialty coffee, because I feel like if it was underdeveloped, I could probably still score it fairly high or well in terms of flavor and acidity. Maybe it doesn't have the body it needs to round out the score and have a score that could be worthy of this already specialty coffee green, right? But yeah, I'd say if you absolutely ruin the coffee, it would no longer be specialty coffee. It would just be burnt or whatever you did wrong, okay? But underdeveloped, no. I think it would still be specialty coffee. It would just be unbalanced, and you would just have to go and roast it again, because you already know from scoring it as a raw, ingredient that it's already special. It's already special, but you just need to kind of follow through and maintain that specialness of the coffee with the roast. But I don't know. What do you guys think? You can let me know. Would it still be specialty coffee? Is it technically, like on a technicality, is it still specialty, even though you burnt it? I don't know. Just a thought exercise. Yeah, Byron, that's specialty coffee. Pretty straightforward, I'd say. But you can have fun with that I think that definition, and I think coffee and the people who occupy it like myself, we shouldn't be so hard on ourselves in terms of the definitions, or even, I gave a lot more thought to tasting notes and how it can kind of feel sort of silly, cheesy, elitist, icky, trying to say all of these like crazy grapefruit, champagne, almond, how helpful is that? Which is a question that I posed. And I think that's a valid question. If I can't taste it, then what? Like, where do I go from there? I don't know. To me, it's like, if I were to say a little bit more on it, it's like, coffee can be something where if you want to give more to it, if you want to go in more depth with it and learn more about, say, history or the grading or tasting notes, like, you can go really deep with it. Like, you can get super nerdy with it. I don't feel that I occupy any level of super nerdiness with coffee. I feel like I just do my due diligence in order for me to enjoy my coffee at home. I do try to honor the cup, which is like, if I get a green that is specialty coffee, or even like, maybe if it wasn't even graded special, I know that it took a lot of work for it to be in my hands. And when I roast it, I want to honor the cup. I want to do my best. I want to see what this coffee has to offer me. And they don't all have to taste like Ethiopia for me to appreciate them. Like, if I were to compare Brazil to Ethiopia, I'll be like, yeah, I mean, Ethiopia is just a flurry of tasting notes that are running through my mind that I can never really nail down and identify all the time. And Brazil is chocolates and nuts. But is there anything wrong with chocolates and nuts? No, right? I love chocolates and nuts. Or nutty chocolate. No, there's nothing wrong with that. And I think as a roaster, it's very, very healthy to appreciate everything as they are. Come as they are. The coffees can come as they are, and there's a use and a purpose and a market for them. And yeah, so I just feel like no matter what, this is my own philosophy for myself, because I do feel sometimes that I could be a little elitist or purist about things. I mean, I'm a recovering purist, right? I'm trying not to do that anymore. I'm trying to be more open. I'm trying to not judge things so quickly. I'm trying to be more forgiving, just as in general, in everything. So as a roaster, that's what coffee roasting has taught me to do, to just be a better person. But I'm trying to do that, So the same thing with like coffee tasting notes. I feel like if you want to go there with it, you can go there with it. And it's up to you, and it's okay. I won't judge you for it. I feel like I'm going to approach my journey with coffee with however I'm going to approach it. I just go by feel. I find what tastes good, and your tastes change and your tastes evolve. And specialty coffee, even that definition may change in the future. Things evolve. Things evolve, and that's like they say, the only constant is change. So I think it's also healthy not to be so attached to things, But yeah, that's what specialty coffee is. And I think what also could be cool as a thought experiment is that we have this very concrete, sort of easy to follow definition of what specialty coffee is, but here is another thought experiment. Even though me, may not be qualified or certified graders, I don't know, could be just fun to find your own scale of how you score things, based on your own tastes. And I think that's super helpful because it helps if you're a roaster, especially, it helps sort of define your own style within specialty coffee. Because we're all playing in the same sandbox here. If you're buying specialty coffee from a certified Q grader or anything that's like, certifiable online. So from there, you can tier down and develop your own style, develop your own score sheet. When I was training over at Clatch for the 3 days, the little 3-day training, he had his own. He didn't use the SCA score sheet. He didn't truly not believe in it, but like it didn't really suit his goals as the leader of Clatch, leading their own taste, leading their cupping table and where they want to go in their own roasting philosophy. So he developed his own. And so that's all I'm trying to say is like, yes, we're playing in this sandbox of specialty coffee set forth by the SCAA. But especially as a home roaster, we are not really, reliant, or we're not really responsible to anybody else than our own customers and our own taste buds. So you can tier down and define your own style, and I think that's 100% okay. You know what I mean? But sometimes, we need to, you probably already know that, but sometimes it's nice to hear the validation that goes, somebody's like, oh yeah, cool, like you're doing it too. Cool. I've been doing that. It's cool to hear that you're doing that. And humans need that. We just need community and validation sometimes, which is cool. And sometimes I do forget that, and I'll be like, oh, doesn't everybody know this already? But maybe, I don't know, somebody just needs to hear it. I don't know. I need to hear stuff all the time that I already know. So anyway, that's it. Happy New Year. We'll see you in the next one. Probably be roasting. Hopefully I've got it figured out back at the roaster. All right. See you in the next one. Bye.